In defense, which is related to denial, because the denial blends into defense, that as one is unable to make discriminations about culture, one tends to stereotype people in other cultures and give them simple forms. And the more simple form that we give to others in other cultures, the more likely we are to get into negative stereotyping, that we then begin to denigrate the others and see the superiority of ourselves. In terms of our worldview here, we begin to apply a positive evaluation to our own worldview and a negative evaluation to the other worldview. We say, we're the good guys and they're the bad guys. You're either with us or against us. You might hear some political echoes, in some of this polarization, and for various reasons, this polarization is, of course, typical in many political situations where the assumption is that if you do not organize the world in terms of the good guys and the bad guys, you may be in a condition of reversal, and reversal is when we're the bad guys and you're the good guys. I call it the Peace Corps volunteers syndrome sometimes, because I was a U.S. Peace Corps volunteer, and when you live in another country, as I did for 2 years, there is a tendency to then take on the goodness of the other country and to be more critical back about your own society or your own culture. And so I was in Micronesia in the Western Pacific, and I'd say, the Micronesians, my island, my wonderful people, as opposed to those terrible, awful Americans. And whenever I saw an American, I'd go the other way, and I'd say, I don't want to be around them, They're so gross, and they're so ignorant, and so what one, now, in terms of defense, I'm still polarizing. It's just that I've changed sides, that I've become the bad guys. My Americanness has become the bad guys, and my Micronesianness, my borrowed Micronesianness, has become the good guys. One also finds this sometimes when members of a dominant group take on the cause of a non-dominant or oppressed group. In the United States, this occurs when somebody discovers that they are 1/1000th Cherokee. And they go, my people. The Native American people, as opposed to those terrible, awful Anglos, who've been oppressing us Native people for so long. Yeah, well, this is an Anglo person who's saying it, This is a person whose entire socialization was in the dominant Anglo culture, but she, in her attempt to ally herself with the oppressed group, shifts into this reversed polarization, and suddenly we're the bad guys and they're the good guys. Now, that's what people who run foreign service programs are worried, that anytime people are not saying we're the good guys and you're the bad guys, that they've shifted into we're the bad guys and you're the good guys, and they've gone over to the other side. They've gone native, you see, and that's the concern. Of course, what it's really saying is that people who run foreign services tend to be coming from this defense position in general, and they tend to be polarizing the world into us and them. This idea of defense has implications for the individuals of, as you see, polarization of information into the evaluative categories. The feeling of this is threat. We feel as if we're under siege, that people are coming to get us. Our behavior is we tend to segregate ourselves, both dominant and non-dominant groups. So, what we're doing is trying to protect our identity from what we see as the siege or the threat of the outsider. And if we do have power, we exercise it in denial of equal opportunity. So again, let me say that our research is showing that denial and defense tend to go together, but we can separate it, and I'll show you later in our measurement how we can separate these two things.